Hi everyone, welcome back to Drone Novice. Today we're going to attach our camera and our video transmitter to our flight controller, which is the top part of our stack over here. So by the end of this, we should have our camera and our video transmitter in our frame and ready to go. So first, we take our camera and the little plastic bag that comes with it. We need only the 3-pin cable, which has red, yellow, and black wires. And we don't need the green and black one, since that's used to change the OSD, but there's an OSD already built into our flight controller. So there's two different types of screws that comes with in our bag, and there's the thick ones and our thin ones. We only need the thick ones to attach our camera to our frame. And we also need our Allen key that comes with it. So once we have our two screws, we're going to take the 3D printed mount and slide our screws through it. Once you do that with one screw, you can tilt away the other side and screw it into place. So that it fits exactly with our camera. So now that we're done attaching our camera to our frame, we're gonna have to attach it to a flight controller. So we take this 3-pin wire and we're gonna attach it to the left side of the camera and make sure it sits nicely, and sort of twist it a few times, and it's gonna attach to the front of the flight controller. So what we want to do is refer to this sort of metal piece that comes with our flight controller and ESC, and then look at it, and at the top left, there's a 3 ports that say 5-volt ground and cam. So that's where we're going to attach it to. So we're going to take our black wire and attach it to our ground, our red wire to the 5-volt, and our yellow wire to the cam. So first we're going to make sure we have an extra length and cut the wires. And then we're going to strip each of them just a tiny bit, not too much. It's also possible to strip the wires with your fingernails. Just to have a tiny bit of wire exposed, since these tabs are really small. So once we're done with that, we're just going to put it to the according tabs and then solder it there. So now that we're done heating up our soldering iron, we're going to solder the wires to our flight controller. So just take a tiny bit of solder and tin those tabs, and then just tin the wires also, and then put our wires to the pads. So first we're going to start out with our 5-volt wire. And then our ground wire. And finally, we're going to finish up with our camera wire. So now that we're done soldering our camera to our flight controller, now we're going to start soldering our video transmitter to our flight controller. So our video transmitter is the Caddx Mach 3, and it comes with an accessory which is a different style connector. So this is the SMA connector, but built in is a MMCX connector. So since our antenna is an SMA antenna, we're going to have to change it from MMCX to SMA. So it comes with that. So we have a 3D printed part right here, which helps us mount our antenna so that it's always stable and it's not just wobbling around. And we can attach our SMA connector to our antenna through that. But we're not going to do that right now, so we can just save those for later. Right now, we're going to take our mount and that's where it's going to be. And it already comes pre-soldered pins right here, but we're going to solder our 26 volt, our ground tab, video tab, and our audio tab. So it comes with some wires already, and similarly to a camera, we only need this rainbow colored one. We don't need the red and black one, since the red and black is just meant to provide power to the camera, but we're already doing that through the flight controller. So we're going to solder our wires now. So the red and black ones goes to the ground and 5 volt or 9 volt, as we did like the other time with their camera. And this time the green one goes to our audio tab. So which can help us. It's not really meant for audio, but it's called smart audio, where our camera can now display settings with like the video transmitter, such as just changing the channel it's on, so it can't interfere with other people's flights. So we're just going to take our red wire and tap it to the tab. So now it forms a nice clean joint. And we're going to do that with the black wire also, and the yellow wire. It doesn't really matter which colors you solder each wire to, but it's easier for consistency. And finally, our green wire, which will go to the audio. So now, since we're done with that, we can solder our video transmitter, the other ends of the wires, to our flight controller. But since these wires are kind of long and we don't really need wires this long, we can just trim them a bit. So we're just going to snip them and about halfway. And then use our fingernails to strip the wires. So we're just going to tin our wires over here. And should we do that, we're going to look at our code again here. And it says that on the right there's a 9 volt, a ground, a TX3, and a video pad. So we're going to solder it there. And our audio tab will go to our TX this time. So we can solder our red wire to our 9 volt. But first we have to, almost forgot, we have to tin the pads as well. And our red wire will go to the 9-volt. But we have to first put on this side, since the wires will be coming in from this side. Our black one will go to the ground. For this part, we can just rotate our quad slightly, so it just makes it easier to solder. Our green wire will go to the TX, and our yellow wire will go to our video. And now that we're done with that, we can just we can twist the wires first, just to make it cleaner. And keep our video transmitter on top of our 3D printed mount, but don't secure it yet since we still have to attach our receiver. So just lock it in so that it makes sort of a clicking sound. It takes some effort, but you'll get there eventually. And then keep it like that. So we're going to just attach our connector here. And it should make a clicking when we attach it securely, and attach our 3D printed piece right here. And this one will be kind of tough to get on, but it'll be really secure, and then it'll help hold our receiver antennas as well as our video antenna, which is our pagoda right here. You just want to slide this down slowly on both sides. And once it reaches a nice position, you can put the connector over here through the 3D printed piece. And it will be difficult to get in at first, but push a little and then you'll get it. And lastly, just attach our antenna by just screwing it in. No other soldering connections required. And don't worry about this because we can secure it later by using zip tie over the entire thing at the end after we put in our receiver. So now we're basically done with our camera and video transmitter part of our drone. And in our next video, we're probably going to just assemble our receiver and put on any final touches. Thanks, and we hope to see you next week.